everyone, and welcome to Tabor Talk. I'm your host, Michael Tabor. So getting right into this, Donald Trump Jr. was on the Jim Norton show, the Jim and Sam show a couple of days ago. So I'm going to play some of this, some clips, and then I'll pause and comment, whatever. So my feelings about Donald Trump Jr. I don't think he's a bad guy. In fact, I wouldn't say I like him, but I understand. It's not his fault that his father's a scumbag, you know? I mean, you know, he's the worst, obviously worst president, corrupt, scumbag, lying, cheater, the whole thing. It's not his son's fault. And it's natural for him to defend his father, right? You know, so I understand. And by the way, Don Jr. is a very smart guy. Educated, he's got that pedigree education. He speaks well. He's quite impressive, in fact. He has a book that's kind of annoying. It's called Triggered, How the Left Spews Hate. Whatever. I mean, I understand what he's saying. So, okay. So let me get right into this. I'll play this. I'll just pretty much I'll start out with the video and then I'll just put my phone down and just play the audio. I'll pause when I feel the need and then we'll do it that way. Okay, here we go. Donald Trump Jr. On the Jim and Sam show. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guest, Donald Trump Jr.
How are you? Doing well yourself? Where do you guys
walking in. What's going on, man?
Keeping busy.
Yeah, I bet.
It's been a while.
We didn't have anyone come up and do anything. They didn't tell us how you were coming in. All of a sudden, you're just here. We figured there'd be security stuff, but there was nothing.
Yeah, now that you're the president's son, there was for the last, first of all, I don't know if you visited the men's room, but we're pretty sure, and I don't know if you've seen it, Jim, but like a day or two ago.
They closed up the hole Sam drilled.
I know. It was really a bummer. Yeah.
Let me just.
It's so much easier than just using your urinal, right? Yeah, right through the wall.
They added little rugs under the urinals and citrus smelling like urinal cakes. And we were talking about it, like, why would they just add this all of a sudden?
Don Jr.'s teeth is quite annoying. That whiteness, I don't.
I'm pretty sure that's not the case.
You don't think so?
You know, used car salesman. I got white.
Like,
get the fuck out of here.
Service gonna come? Is there gonna be a security detail a week in advance, a day in advance?
Putting a rug under a urinal's less than awesome idea.
They wanted to feel
fancy. Someone from the hospitality. It is pretty fancy.
Yeah.
Like holding that smell. Wow.
I thought the same thing. I was like, the drips are just going to be there forever.
Come on, get on with it.
No, this is an upscale move, Roberts. You wouldn't understand.
Go high end.
By the way, I got your book yesterday. They sent me a digital copy. I've only read like 50 pages because it was embargoed. But it's really funny.
Here's
like
the book,
it's. I was surprised. I laughed out loud on the plane at some of the. It's sarcastic, and every point you make, whether people agree with it or not, some I agree with, some I didn't. It was still funny, and it's like I don't know how anybody's not going to enjoy reading this.
Well, listen, I think that's the idea. Is I mean, man, you know better than anyone, frankly, with sort of today's outrage culture. I mean, your job as a comedian and. It's so limited in terms of what you can say, and I think I just point out some of these things. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I've known you guys for a while, coming back in the O&A days and stuff like that. And, you know, you used to be able to have some fun.
Okay, so I understand what he's doing. All right, and yes, we live today this outrage culture and the extreme left and all these gender pronouns and this outrage. You know, I totally understand this, but dude. The reality is, your father is unfit for this job. Like, duh. You know, I mean, and you're not talking to me. I understand some young kids. I mean, they're stupid. They don't have enough data, right? And they're outraged by this and that. You know, listen, I know, but the main problem is your father should not be president of the United States. I mean, it's awful. He's unfit. He's dumb. He's a failed businessman. He's a racist, sexist, like monster. I mean, his tweeting, he tweets like a third grader. And I mean, listen, I understand it's his father and all this, but man, this is kind of a red herring? You're diverting this. Like, yeah, there is this triggered bullshit and it's nonsense and it's ridiculous. I agree there. But the real problem is this guy, your father. He's fucking awful. All right, continue.
and you just watch sort of the restrictions coming on what you can and can't say. I mean, I still get canceled on a daily basis for stuff that I said with you guys. You know, like I don't know, like we were promoting a reality show. That doesn't mean that, you know, that should be held against me in the court of, you know, public opinion for the next 50 years when we're obviously joking around, having a good time. And
it really is funny. I think your dad, Trump becoming president, kind of sent a shockwave through the cancel culture kind of way of thinking, because there was all this tape and there was all these, like, you know, quote unquote career-ending horrible mistakes you can never come back from. And it was like, we got him here, we got him here, we got him here. And then when he wins the election, they go, wait, that's not how this is supposed to work.
Well, I think it's twofold. I mean, first of all, yes, I think the average guy is sort of sick of this stuff. I mean, Chappelle did a sort of a good job calling it out, recently and some of these things. But like,
let me pause this here.
Some of his greatest skits, like, you know, I can't even say what they are because, you know, oh my God, you're...
And by the way, they were on cable.
Yeah. Well, you know? Some of his greatest skits, you know, not that long ago, I feel like it wasn't that long ago, early 2000s, whatever, when I was in college, like, were some of the funniest things ever.
Totally.
Like, if you did that today, it'd be over.
The
I don't
opening
think so.
sketch where he played the Black Klansman.
That's awesome.
The Black White Supremacist was one of the funniest things
I
I've
totally
ever seen
agree.
in my life.
Yeah, and you could never do it now.
You could never.
Okay, so here's the thing, like, people put you in these sort of categories. Like, obviously, I'm a middle-aged guy, and I am not one of those super lefties who's sensitive about language. I mean, come on, give me a break, right? So, and by the way, I'm a huge Dave Chappelle fan. He's probably my favorite stand-up comedian of almost all time. My favorite is George Carlin. I was actually talking to my wife about this. I think Dave Chappelle is right up there. And I saw his special, and that night I did a review. You could see it on my channel, and I said the funniest man alive. So Dave Chappelle, his politics, I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, he's kind of conservative in some ways. He doesn't give a shit about Donald Trump. He's a rich guy, you know, and he was talking about the ridiculous language, and I get it. And by the way, if you have not seen Dave Chappelle's bit on the blind white supremacist, he doesn't know he's black, and he's like, those, I'm afraid to even say the N-word, but it's hilarious. The funniest sketch I think I've ever seen. Dave Chappelle doing the blind white supremacist. He doesn't know he's black. It's hilarious. I totally agree. So let me continue on.
Never even contemplate it. And so I think people were sick of it, but more importantly, I think my father also handled, you know, and I say outrage in sort of air quotes.
Right.
He handled it differently, and that he didn't just go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'll never. It's like, give me a break, and moves on. And I think, you know, the guys that do end up sort of getting canceled are the guys that
so Don Trump Jr., you don't think your father has done and said outrageous things like calling Rosie O'Donnell a big fat slob? I mean, like is that presidential? I mean, that's just a minor thing. I mean, do you want me to go through the tweets? I mean, this is, or just the things he says. Listen, I understand, Don Jr. Your father's a fucking scumbag. He's a gangster. He's uneducated. He's vulgar. He's a failed businessman. Later on, he goes, oh, my father's running the country like a business. I go, dude, your father's a failure. Let me put it this way. Donald Trump is a billionaire, for sure, but he's corrupt. And I've done so many videos on his whole businesses. I've been following him since the 80s. Not a successful developer. He's not Robert Moses. The only thing he's ever had success in is this branding and marketing, the reality show. I mean, the casino business, failure, developer, failure, everything. The only thing that worked for him was the reality show. It's the only thing that actually was where he was actually out of the red. And he's a character. He's a circus clown. That's who his father is. He's not a developer. All right.
Apologizing, because the reality is, you know, and again, regardless of sort of political spectrum, it seems like the people pushing that outrage culture, it's never enough.
Right.
The apology is never real, even if it is. You can never repent enough to get back in their good graces, and it goes across the entire spectrum. I mean, one of the examples I do use in the book is like sort of the Martina Navratilova, the tennis player. Like, this is someone we knew growing up. Like, she has a similar story to my mother, escaping communist Czechoslovakia and stuff like that. And, she came out a few weeks ago against, like, the trans women in female sports.
Right.
I totally agree with this.
I've been pretty vocal about, and it's one of the few things I can
It is
put on
outrageous.
Twitter, and people are like, crap. I hate Don Jr. But I'm with him on this one. I can't believe I'm agreeing with him on something.
What do you say about it?
I just say it's a little bit ridiculous. As the father of girls who are athletic at girls sports, as someone who's watched sort of the movement of Title IX and everything, it's like just to totally negate it. Because it'd be one thing if there were trans men dominating men's sports, but it's really only working one
by
way.
the way,
guys.
that's
It's
right.
insanity. And
Great
so I
point.
call it out.
Let me
and I'm not
pause
afraid
this
to sort
here,
of call it out.
and I'll continue on.
This is a
Hold on.
woman who was.
And I totally agree here. Like you have these men going in women's sports. They're identifying as a woman, and they're completely dominating and destroying. Like, yes, men have faster twitch muscle. They're bigger and stronger. That's just a fact, and I totally agree. It's totally preposterous. So I don't know. He's not directing towards me. Like I said, there's a fringe sort of. There is that ridiculous left, but the majority of people, Democrat. That's not us. All right. Let me pause here. This is part 1, and I'll continue on the next video. Okay. Good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience. Continuing on with Don Trump Jr.